Because everything about TV is about one thing. It's to win the audience.
Yeah.
Okay? So I said for her, you know what you need to do? You need to use your eyes. Smile with your eyes. Get excited with your eyes.
Yeah.
Open your eyes up. Speak to the people through the eyes. And guess what? If you look at that interview, actually the girl in the CNN, she told her, she said, "You're so engaging." She was actually subconsciously, these guys were very well trained, these anchors. It came out of her mouth because she felt like this person is so engaging, as if she was worried about her, or she thinks she's gonna bring this niqabi and she's just gonna walk all over her.
Yeah.
And they choose her for a purpose, for a reason. I think has to do with niqab in Europe and stuff like that, and in France. Anyway, so eyes is very good.
You know, I find from
Another
my experience.
point. We have 15 points.
Oh, we have 15 points? I'm still on this one.
Okay.
You're going to stay with the eyes all night, eye doctor.
No, but you know, in the age of the pandemic, with the masks and everything, you know, this niqab issue has become for all of us. Because oftentimes we're interacting. And I agree with you, Sheikh, that your eyes will give up your facial expression. So, absolutely. So, great advice.
Another point.
You know, I find that because my profession involves literally making an impression within 90 seconds, and then making a recommendation that, you know, is good for the person speaking in front of you, your patient sitting in front of you. The two aspects that I always try to do, that research says, is the first is you smile yourself, and we know this, but the second is getting them to smile. And the second aspect is getting them to say yes. So a lot of times you might go to your healthcare professional and they ask you, any history of this? You say no, no. Any history of surgeries? No. You say this? No, etc., etc. Mentally, psychologically, and maybe you can comment on this more, that person develops a psychological block for you. And then in the future, if I go and say to that person, your pressure is high, can you come back for some more testing? Guess what we've already trained them to do? Is to say no. So my goal is always within that first 90 seconds, and I hope you can comment on this, get them to smile, even through their mask or niqab, if I see that, or just say yes as much as possible. So I avoid questions that will start or make that person say no. So.
Oh, that is so true. This is used everywhere. First of all, prosecutors will use this. Your Honor would like to call Mr. Kamal El-Mekki to the stand. You come up. Spell your name for the record. You just said my name. You say your name for the record. You just said it. Spell it. You have it in the record. And do you live on 724 Evergreen Terrace? Yes. And you've known the defendant for the last 10 years? Yes. And so what he's doing is he's actually training me to give him yeses. And he's going and he's also developing a rhythm, and then at some point he's going to throw in that dangerous question, but because you're used to saying yes and you're used to the rhythm, boom, you're going to say yes. Car dealers use the same technique. They give you a blank sheet of paper. This first time this happened to me, the guy says, if I get you that car, the price you want, the financing you like, awesome, you use this technique. He says, would you take it? I said, yeah, of course. Give me halal financing. He said, sign this piece of paper. He gives me a blank sheet of paper. Sign, anywhere. I said, what is this for? He said, it tells me you're serious. I said, it's raining and I'm here. That should tell you I'm serious. He says, just sign it. I said, no. He said, it tells you, my manager, that you're serious. I said, go in and tell him I'm serious. Anyways, he was begging me at the end. He's like, please sign it. It doesn't mean anything. I was like, if it doesn't mean anything, why do you want me to sign it? I refused. Then I found out later from an experienced friend of mine. He said, what he's doing is, he's training you to obey him and sign. So you sign, he goes in to the manager, they laugh at you, they tell jokes, they come back, sign again, he's working on it. If it works, will you take this car, sign here? And then at the end, how does the transaction end? With you signing on the contract. So that's all he's doing. So yeses are super important.
SubhanAllah. Wow.
So smiling will make you a likable person. People like to be around people who smiles. I agree 100%. The Nabi ﷺ smiles a lot, and he always smiling ﷺ. I think one of the things also that it is for me a very important point has to do with smiling, is to be happy. People love to be around happy people. The more happy you are, the more will attract people around you. That's why one of the best things you can ever do to your spouse is to have your own happiness. Just don't be a grumpy person or a border grumpy person all the time. Be happy. And the more happy you are, the more people will like to be around you. The more angry and negative and like frustrated you are, people will stay away from you. So one of the things that I always catch myself, if I ever being like not happy, you know what? I need to work on myself. I need to be more happy person. And nobody gonna make you happy except yourself. Happiness only comes from within. So that's another point. Go ahead.
This idea
So
of...
I count now 4 points.
4 points. This idea of smiling is so powerful. This image of the Prophet ﷺ always smiling, that there was a research study that was done, and it doesn't just involve our personal interactions, but even our electronic interactions. So research shows that attaching a smiley face, the emoticon, or similar things, makes the other person more favorable and more likable, makes you more likable in their eyes, even in electronic communication. So Google as a company, they instituted this, that subhanAllah, in your emails, in your communications, as much as possible, try to implement that. So
Nice.
Such a powerful image, but yes.
Another point.
All right, so we've got what you say, something nice, friendly, positive, greeting, and how you say it. Everybody knows that. If someone asks you, how are you doing? You say, I'm fine. Okay, alhamdulillah. No, he just said, I'm not fine, even though he verbally said, I'm fine. So how you say it, and then what your body is saying. So we've got those there. Generally, people like when you have something in common with them, or you both like the same things, you have similarities. I always give the example of, usually I make friends with people while we're shopping for fishing rods. Like I'm just looking at rods, I see a guy here looking at rods. I don't know him. Hey, where do you go fishing? Oh, I go to Burke Lake, and one time I caught a carp this big, and he tells me his story. I tell him I go to Potomac River and I caught this catfish and it was this big and I was fighting it for that long. Then we exchange phone numbers and then we agree to meet at the lake. Because we started with things we have in common. Imagine I'm shopping for rods and I see a guy over there and I was like, so what religion are you? You think we're gonna exchange phone numbers? So people love those people that have things in common with them.
SubhanAllah. It's very interesting how you mentioned that, because
Bird and feather?
Yeah, birds of a feather flock together.
Birds of a feather fly together. But even in body language, I find that if I'm in a situation where in that 90 seconds I have not made a positive impression with the person, I'll mimic the person in front of me in their body language. So if they're sitting like Sheikh Kamal, a little bit more laid back, I'll do the same. I'll sit more laid back like this until I see that they're beginning to mimic me in nonverbal, because communication is over 80% nonverbal. So beginning with exactly how Sheikh Kamal is sitting, and then just speaking in his tone, and then slowly but surely, once I see that person's body language is mimicking mine, then coming back and trying to get that the 90 seconds that I couldn't make that positive impression, that likability, coming back and my second chance at it. So it's really interesting how you mentioned that.